Hello everybody, it's Angelique Renee. How are you today? I'm gonna give everybody a moment just to tune in. I wanted to hop on today because it's been an interesting few days, and so I kind of wanted to share with you guys some of the things that have transpired, some things that have come to my attention, and I thought it was appropriate to actually do a Facebook Live about it. So for those of you joining me for the first time, I'm Angelique Renee. I am a holistic beauty and wellness expert, women's self-care coach, and licensed esthetician. And I take a powerful stand for women finally making themselves a priority and taking back their self-care. Hi, Tasha. How you doing? Good to see you. So right now, I'm in the midst of ramping up some really amazing coaching programs as well as retreats to help pull women out of their existing environment and learn how to just learn the art of supreme self-care, and it goes on into a much deeper level than just getting massages, beauty treatments, all of those things. Self-care, really, I work with people at the soul level. And I know because I have walked this journey myself. I have been through it where I was burnt out my adrenals, had no testosterone left in my body because I had confined myself to the expectations of the corporate constructs, right? So some of the things that came to my attention is I was raised in a Southern household where manners and etiquette were so important. So, you're raised up and people want to teach you to behave yourself and to mind your manners. And often there's that saying, children should be seen or not heard, or even little girls should be seen and not heard. And so you grow up and you're thinking you've got to mind your P's and Q's. You always have to, have manners. Don't be too boisterous. Don't be too much. Don't be too much of this or that. The truth is, is that it seems like everybody's always trying to place limitations on us, right? And unfortunately, and I know back in the old times they meant well, but you grow up being told, don't be too much of this, watch your manners, do all of this stuff, and then next thing you know, you become an adult and you have no voice. You've gotten to a point where you no longer know how to express yourself because you're walking on eggshells, you're minding your P's and Q's, you're worried about being politically correct. And I know this personally firsthand because as I grew up and got older and I stepped into the corporate world, I stuffed myself into the confines of this box where they have these expectations of what's professional, it was kind of the whole suit era, and so I just remember being concerned about, am I too young? I'm meeting with C-level executives, I want to be taken seriously. So I became uber conservative. I started hiding, dressing on what I thought was professional so I could be taken seriously when I walked into a room to try to sell people services because I was in corporate sales for so many years. So, and then you become conservative as well. Maybe you get married and you're like, okay, because I'm a married woman, I don't want to be too flashy. I don't want to be too flamboyant. You worry about what everybody else is going to think and the image that you're putting out there, and you just want to be taken seriously. And so it got to a point later on in life, 15 years into my corporate career, I'm dressing matronly, I was really hiding. I was afraid of attracting the wrong attention, not being taken seriously. I just remember I had a friend from childhood that actually moved here to Orlando. We hadn't seen each other in like 17 years. And when we met for the first time after all these years and caught up, he's like, wow, you grew up and became so rigid. And I was like, really? Because I had to command respect. I was working in this corporate world. I had to command respect. I always shook hands with authority. I always had to establish, boundaries because I wanted to be taken seriously. I didn't want anybody to cross those boundaries. I didn't want anybody to, have the wrong perception as to why I was there. I meant business. So you kind of stuff yourself into this box. And hi Daniel, hi Ramona, hey Dave. So next thing you know, 15 years in, I'm dressing matronly. I am so uptight. I'm emotionally eating, I'm packing on weight, I'm miserable with my career, and I had so much anxiety that I literally felt like I had an elephant standing on my chest. I would sit at the dinner table sometimes with my family, and I would either gasp for air or sometimes even choke on my food because I had so much stress and anxiety because I had stuffed myself into this box and I was running the rat race. I was just, it was more than I could handle. And of course, being a new mother, a new wife, a corporate career woman on the rise, I was wound so tight that I became a spaz. Quite frankly, I was reactive, I was cranky, I was irritable, I was moody, I was snappy and snippy, like everything. And honestly, people would ask me like, what's wrong with you? Not realizing that I was just so stressed out and so frazzled, trying to live up to everybody else's expectations. And the strive for perfection almost killed me. I mean, I literally burnt out my adrenals, bottomed out my testosterone, and it got to a point where I had to finally, once I did switch careers, and after navigating through divorce and a couple car accidents, so many things that I went through, I just remember laying on the couch and being okay. I had lost weight, I was living a life of wellness, and saying, oh my God, please don't tell me my best years are behind me, because I literally, I was scared I had a neurological disorder. Like I was scattered, I couldn't think straight, I had anxiety, I wanted to sleep and rest. And so the toll that it took on me, and the thing is especially when it comes to women, when you are experiencing extreme stress, if you end up with hormonal imbalances, it's going to affect your intimacy. It's going to affect your relationship with your partner. It's going to affect the relationship that you have with your kids. I mean, it's very hard to be grounded, present, and connected when you're tied to your phone. You've got to take this important phone call. You've got to get this last email out, and your kid's tugging at your shirt going, Mom, Mom, and you're like, hold on a second, or like, shh, be quiet in the back of the car. I got to take this phone call. Listen, it's not serving anybody. You're a spaz. You need to learn how to relax. But I'm going to tell you something. One of the problems is how we strive for perfection, and we're always trying to live up to everybody else's expectations. And I've had a couple interesting things transpire over the last several days. And even I'll kind of backtrack and share with you some even just dating disasters that I've had. Nothing like dating at 40, let me tell you. So I've had instances where I've had people, there was a time where I went out with somebody and they said, okay, you're very intelligent. I could never date somebody stupid. So anyways, second date rolls around and we're sitting there talking, and he goes, you know what? He goes, your problem is you're too smart for your own good. I think you need to dumb down a little bit, because not everybody cares about all that stuff that you're talking about. And I looked at him and I said, that's interesting, because you're the first person in my entire life to ever tell me that. So what do you think the problem is here, right? So then you fast forward even further, and there's times lately that I've kind of let little snippets of my personality out. So it's always hard because, with social media and Facebook and everything, especially in the age of images, everything is switching to video now. So with images, we could put out a lot of inspirational quotes and lots of great content to inspire people, and you have your photos. But now in the age of video, we can let little snippets of our personality slip out. And for my friends that know me, they know that I'm a multifaceted, multidimensional person. There's a lot of layers of depth and complexity to my character. So the challenge I run into is that sometimes people will perceive my image in a certain way, not realizing I have a very quirky sense of humor. And sometimes, and what the beauty is about it is that when I have a quirky sense of humor and I make a joke, it catches people off guard because they don't expect it from me, and that's what actually makes it funny. So yes, I have a quirky sense of humor. I'm not always politically correct. That's just who I am, and I've had a lot of life experiences that have allowed me, I feel, to be able to joke about certain things because they were things that I've experienced in my own life. So, I had somebody tell me that, by me joking in certain ways, that it detracts away from my essence and from my attractiveness. And I'm like, okay, so it brought up this memory of me going back to a date where somebody told me I'm too smart for my own good, and of course then that makes me feel like somebody's telling me, well, just shut up and look pretty. Well, I have a lot more layers of depth and complexity to my character. I'm somewhat cranial, so Then I actually got a little bit of a backlash from a different direction. It seems like everybody kind of has an opinion. And I had somebody else message me recently to say, you know what, you're so pretty, it takes away from your message. And you should get out and you should do your message in places where, you know, maybe you're working out and maybe you're, and I'm like, okay, so you want to see me like less pretty, you want to see me sweaty and working out and then try to convey my message because she feels my looks are a distraction for my message. So here's my point. Everybody has an opinion, and people are going to place projections on you. But the truth of the matter is that I have now redesigned my life in such a way where I don't have to worry. I've broken free from the corporate constructs. I've broken free from the box. I am so free to choose, to decide, to be who I want to be, to create, to become the fullest expression of myself. And even in relationships, I've had challenges because they see a few different facets, and they you know, they're like, oh, this is beautiful, this is wonderful. And then when they start seeing that I'm as multidimensional as I am, then they're like, oh, too much. And we as women keep being told, have been told for so long that, you know, don't be too much, don't be too loud, don't be too boisterous, don't be too this, too. And I really think it's time for the world to step up a little bit and realize if a woman's going to be the fullest expression of herself, if somehow that's shining light on your inadequacies, that's not her problem, that's yours, right? But what I do with my coaching with women is I let them know that it's time to unwind and stop being so uptight. You know, we worry so much about meeting everybody else's expectations and about, you know, fitting in and being politically correct and saying the right thing and having the right image. And I've had everything. And guess what? Sometimes when you have everything, you end up miserable trying to maintain it all. And so now I've broken free from all of that and unraveled and unwind, and piece by piece I've taken back my identity as the beautiful woman I once was before I fell into the trap of the corporate rat race trying to meet everybody else's expectations. And what's interesting is now suddenly people are having a problem with seeing snippets of my true personality. You know, I should be able to come on and talk freely and just be who I am and express myself. And the truth is that I worked so hard. If you see pictures of me just a few years ago, I was 30 pounds heavier, burnt out my adrenals, no testosterone in my body. I was miserable, but I had everything. You know, I had flown to Hawaii, gone to President's Club. You know, you would think that everything was great, but now I am more comfortable in my own skin at age 41 than I was in my 20s. Guess what? In my 20s, I was starving myself skinny. I was jacked up on diet pills. I was competing with my girlfriends to see who could get the lowest number on the scale. And yes, I was the most physically fit that I was at that time, but it was self-loathing, absolute self-loathing. I didn't love myself. I was constantly comparing myself to everybody else. And I switched from that to switching into, okay, my past life didn't work for me, so let me try this, you know, the white picket fence with the house and the car and the job title, and, you know, I'm gonna be the mom and wife and have this beautiful image, this picture of the American dream. And then you fast forward many years later and the pendulum swung the other direction. Now I'm dressing matronly, I'm hiding, I'm covering up, I'm skittish. You know, the confidence that I once had, I grew up performing, I grew up in theater and everything else, and now suddenly I'm afraid to talk in front of people, I'm afraid to sing in front of people, I'm afraid to be seen. You know, it's taken me a lot to get to this point, to even just be on Facebook Live. And it's funny because I had a friend come into town from New Mexico that I grew up with, that we grew up performing together, and he made me go karaoke because he was like, I call BS, you are not shy, we're going out and you're getting up there and you're gonna karaoke. And it was just me, just piece by piece, giving away my identity and giving away my, you know, my power in so many ways, to where I just shrunk back and I shriveled and I gave away my self-confidence and everything else. Well, now, if you look at my pictures now, I am able to post in a bathing suit without makeup. A few years ago, I would have never been caught dead being seen without makeup, much less in my bathing suit. So I, at 41, am most comfortable in my own skin now than I've ever been. And now suddenly I'm getting a backlash and people are coming at me with all these opinions, you know, about me being too smart or me being too pretty or me having a quirky sense of humor and I shouldn't do this and I shouldn't do that and I should do this differently. And I'm going, stop. Just stop. We need to just let people be who they are. And it's no wonder women are so freaking uptight. And that's why I am so passionate about coaching women to help them unravel and unwind from being so uptight from everybody else's expectations and the pressure that we put on ourselves striving for perfection that can nearly kill us or make us sick to the point we can't do the job that we need to do in order to support our families, in order to thrive, right? So that's why I'm creating retreats and I'm getting people out of their environment so I can teach them how to piece by piece take back the woman that they once were. Because I remember when I was in corporate America dragging out of bed saying, I am too young to feel this old. I feel horrible. I look horrible. I'm miserable. And I'm sitting there going, I miss the old me. I miss being adventurous. I miss being spontaneous. I miss feeling attractive, you know, and having that spark. And, you know, now I feel almost like a teenager again. Of course, now if I only knew then what I know now, of course, you know, I probably would have been really dangerous back then. But I'm just here to say, you know, women are rising. And women need to unravel and unwind. If you have a woman in your life, because I know there's some men on here right now, and you're like, my woman's so uptight and she's moody and I just don't understand. You know what? You really got to take a look at what she's going through. And instead of snapping and being like, there's something wrong with you, what's going on, you're being a pain in the ass, whatever, you got to understand, like, we've been stuffing ourselves into this patriarchal framework, and we've been putting on suits and taking job titles and having to create these rigid boundaries so people don't cross those boundaries in order to command respect. And quite frankly, it has been killing our feminine essence, you know. And so once women do start to loosen up a little bit, do show a little personality and are comfortable with the fact that, hey, I'm a woman, I'm attractive, I have curves or whatever, then we should not be shaming them for that. They should not have to live in hiding any longer. Women are beautiful. They're placed on this earth for a reason. I heard a quote one time where a guy told a woman, he's like, why is it that you're so stupid? And she's like, I had to be stupid to love you, and I had to be beautiful for you to love me. So that's kind of how it's designed, and that's how it works, right? But I just invite you women, I have been, coaching women. I have been forged by fire. I have been through it. I have been through the thick of everything to where things were stripped away. And I remember when I had a car accident right after my grandfather passed away, who was the number one man in my life, as I was in the thick of divorce and laying in bed recovering by myself from a car accident going, okay, God, you've got my attention. You obviously want more of me. What is it that I'm supposed to be doing? And I've asked, and I will tell you, over the last several years, I've had one miracle after another happen in my life because I dedicated everything that I have and everything that I am and the work that I do to the service of humanity and to helping women gain the shortcut so they don't spend years like I did trying to figure out how on earth to become whole again. You know, because what happens is we give away pieces of ourselves and pieces of our power and pieces of our identity, and then we wake up one day and we're like, who am I and where am I and how did I get here? And then you're wondering why the woman's stressed out. So, you know, I just say this, ladies, it is up to us to take personal responsibility for our own health, wellness, and well-being. It has a ripple effect in everything that we do, our work relationships, our intimacy with our partners, our relationships with our children. It has a ripple effect in everything we do. So number one, it's time to take personal responsibility for your own self-care. Number two, if you're a man that's listening and you know somebody, a woman that's struggling, that seems off balance and seems totally like she's not grounded or balanced, then lovingly let her know that you support her to get the support that she needs in order to take back her self-care. Because if you pluck her out of her environment and allow her the time to invest in herself, to nurture and learn how to do things differently, she can come back, she will feel differently, and she will know what to do and know how to do things differently, and everybody else is going to be happier for it. So I just encourage you, if you're a woman, take personal responsibility. If you're a man that loves your woman, encourage her, support her, and let her know that you love her enough that if she needs to take a time out and get away for a little bit, so that way she can learn how to redesign things to where it serves her better and she could be more present, connected, and grounded, then that's exactly what she needs. And the self-care goes way beyond just aromatherapy and massage and things like that, but it really it's about learning how to step out of your reactive nature and learning how to respond rather than react, learning how to unravel and unwind those corporate constructs, the box. That's the thing. All of these opinions that have come at me in the last 48 hours about how I look, how I speak, how I act, everything else, it's trying to frame you into a box. And ladies, it's just time for you to learn how to get comfortable in your own skin and happy with yourself. We don't belong in a box. So that's my tip for the day. If you feel all this pressure because of deadlines and I have to do this and I have to maintain that and I have to look like this and I have to, speak this way and I have to watch out for what I say, and it's time to stop the chaos. It's time to take a time out. I would invite you to contact me if this message resonates with you, so that way I can teach you the shortcut and you don't spend years on a journey like I did trying to figure out piece by piece how to put a woman back together again to make her whole. Because I have personal experience, I can teach you how to do it, and it doesn't need to take you years to get it accomplished. So anyways, that's my word for the day. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's gonna tell you what they think about you and everybody else, but at the end of the day, you have to know that you're worthy and deserving of being the fullest and best expression of yourself. And that means being happy and healthy, making yourself a priority, and taking the best possible care of yourself. Thank you. I love you guys. Have a great day. Watch the replay.